While Brad Pitt has become synonymous with box office hits and iconic roles, his career has also been marked by some behind-the-scenes experiences that demonstrate both the intense pressure of fame and his personal resilience. One of the most interesting and real stories from his time on set happened during the filming of 7 Years in Tibet, 1997, a movie where Pitt played the role of Heinrich Harrer, an Austrian mountaineer who escapes British internment during World War II and befriends the Dalai Lama in Tibet. Before Brad Pitt even stepped foot in Tibet to shoot the movie, there was significant controversy surrounding the project. In the late 1990s, Pitt had just come off a series of high-profile films, including Interview with the Vampire, 1994, and Legends of the Fall, 1994, which solidified his image as one of Hollywood's top leading men. The role in 7 Years in Tibet seemed like a great opportunity to expand his acting range and portray a real-life historical figure. However, the film's production faced significant cultural and political hurdles, particularly involving Tibet's delicate geopolitical situation with China. The movie, based on Harrer's autobiographical account, was set in Tibet and showcased the Dalai Lama's life, a subject that was, and still is, highly sensitive due to the Chinese government's stance on Tibet. At the time, China had already exerted influence on Hollywood productions by leveraging its significant film market, and they didn't take kindly to any film that depicted Tibet as a separate entity from China. In fact, prior to the movie's release, China issued an official boycott of 7 Years in Tibet, citing the film's portrayal of the Dalai Lama as the head of an independent Tibet. This not only caused a stir in the international community but also put pressure on the film's production and its stars, particularly Brad Pitt, who would be walking into a complex cultural and diplomatic situation. After months of controversy, Brad Pitt and the rest of the crew finally made their way to the Himalayan region to begin filming. But the challenges didn't end with the political protests. One of the most difficult aspects of filming 7 Years in Tibet was the physical environment. The team was shooting in some of the most remote and harshest terrain in the world. Brad Pitt had to endure the incredibly high altitudes of the Tibetan Plateau, which was difficult even for the most seasoned climbers. The mountain ranges in northern India and Tibet have an average altitude of over 16,000 feet, and the air is thin, making physical exertion exhausting. Pitt, known for his commitment to roles, threw himself into the physical demands of the shoot. He had to undergo months of mountaineering and survival training. But one of the most surprising parts of the filming was that Brad Pitt, a famously dedicated actor, was also faced with real-life danger during a critical scene. Filming one of the most important scenes for the film involved a climbing expedition in the Himalayas. While the crew was shooting in a particularly treacherous part of the mountain, an unexpected avalanche hit the set. It was a terrifying moment for everyone involved. As the snow came crashing down, there was a real chance that the team could have been caught in the snowstorm. In the chaos that followed, Brad Pitt's quick thinking and calm demeanor under pressure helped keep the crew safe. He took charge of helping clear the path, and while it wasn't the typical action hero moment one might expect from a Hollywood star, it revealed a side of Pitt that often goes unnoticed: his sense of responsibility for his team and his ability to handle high-stress situations. For Pitt, the near miss with the avalanche was a wake-up call. It gave him a new perspective on life, particularly on the pressures of fame and the importance of making careful choices. It was also a reflection of the serious dedication he had to the authenticity of the film, as he continued with the rigorous filming schedule despite the danger. Amid the physical challenges and geopolitical hurdles, Brad Pitt also found himself learning from the people around him, especially from his co-star Jamyang Jamsho Wangchuck, who played the young Dalai Lama. The bond that developed between Pitt and Wangchuck during the filming was reportedly profound. Pitt later mentioned that working with Wangchuck was an eye-opening experience, especially since Wangchuck had been raised in Tibet and was deeply connected to the Tibetan culture and the Dalai Lama's teachings. During his time in Tibet, Brad Pitt found himself reflecting on his own life and career. There were moments when he felt conflicted about playing such a significant historical figure in a politically charged environment. At one point, he even considered whether or not he was the right person for the role. But as the production continued, Pitt grew more comfortable with the complexities of portraying a man like Heinrich Harrer, whose journey involved redemption, cultural exchange, and the exploration of Tibetan Buddhism. 7 Years in Tibet was ultimately released in 1997 and received mixed reviews. While Pitt's performance was praised, particularly for how he handled the complexity of Harrer's character, the film didn't become the massive box office hit that many expected. Still, it remains one of Pitt's more adventurous projects, as it showed his willingness to tackle complicated, physically demanding roles, and navigate a global political landscape far outside his usual action hero fare. In interviews after the film's release, Brad Pitt reflected on the experience and how it shaped his view of the world. He spoke about how humbled he felt by the Tibetan people's warmth and spirituality, and how the role had opened his eyes to the struggles of Tibet under Chinese occupation. Interestingly, this experience would also play a part in shaping some of Pitt's future work. The themes of self-discovery, redemption, and personal transformation in 7 Years in Tibet resonated with Pitt in a way that would influence his choices in future roles. His career continued to evolve, with him taking on increasingly complex and varied characters that mirrored his own journey of self-reflection and growth. The making of 7 Years in Tibet was one of Brad Pitt's most challenging and transformative experiences. From the physical challenges of shooting in the Himalayas to the political controversy surrounding the film's release, Pitt learned valuable lessons about humility, resilience, and the complexities of global issues. And while the film may not have been a huge commercial success, it remains a key moment in his career, showcasing his commitment to taking on roles that pushed his limits both physically and intellectually. Through this experience, Pitt's journey as an actor was further solidified not just as a Hollywood heartthrob, but as someone deeply invested in telling meaningful, often complex, stories. The film's impact on him personally was significant, influencing both his career choices and his perspectives on the world.